What up, party people? Welcome back to another episode of Controversial Album Covers. This is episode number 35, and here it is, The Strokes. Is This It? It was released on July 30th, 2001 in Australia, but it was continually released throughout the world throughout that summer and fall, and that's a very important piece of information for this narrative, so hold on to that. I promise it will come right back around. Now, when I started doing the research on this record, I had already done 40 of these at the time, and something smelled a little fishy and something was off about it. Now, here's the original cover for this album. And what smelled fishy about it to me was that they said it was too suggestive or too controversial for the US market. In 2001, this was nothing. So this just didn't seem right to me, so I held on to it and I did the research. And my preliminary research turned up the same story that everybody talks about and they think that they know, which is not really true. And that is that it was too suggestive for the US market, so they switched it to this cover, which is the Big Bang particle smashing or something to that effect, which is actually not true either, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, before we get to the controversy, let's get to the history. The history is the artist is Colin Lane, and Colin Lane is fairly well known in the early 2000s and still continues as an artist. He did album covers for Kings of Leon, John Cale, Dream Theater, The Killers, and even Cage the Elephant. The model on the cover of the original was his girlfriend at the time, and she was getting out of the shower, and they decided to have an impromptu photo shoot. And he said that the black glove was actually left by a stylist from an earlier photo shoot, and so they decided to use it. And wada boom, bada bing, they came up with this after about 10 or 15 shots. This is the one they got. They really liked it, and it is often compared to Smell the Glove by Spinal Tap, which is another album we haven't done, but I will because it's considered one of the first controversial album covers, or at least has a funny story about it. Now, the problem comes in, and when this was released in the UK late August, in the UK, they said there were some retailers that said they objected to it, but they carried it anyway. So that's where things get murky. They say, well, if it got objected in UK, it must have just been shut down in the US. And that's not true but for the October release in the United States, they came out with this cover, which is actually a photograph of subatomic particle tracks in a bubble chamber. And the same image appears on the book cover, The Scientist as Rebel by theoretical physicist Freeman Dyson, and a portion of the image also appears on Prince's 1990 album Graffiti Bridge. Now, according to RCA product manager at the time, David Gottlieb, this was 100% a band change and had nothing to do with the butt shot or the suggestiveness of the cover. He said while they were touring in Japan, and this is before it was actually released in July, they said, hey, we have a new cover. We think it's way cooler than the butt shot, and here it is. And they sent him this picture. And that's Julian Casablanca said that, the lead singer, this should be the cover. And David Gottlieb said, that's really cool and all, and that's fine, but the problem is we've already pressed all of the copies for July and August, so we're not going to just toss those, and we're not going to repress them. It's going to cost a lot of money. However, if you want to switch to that, we'll stop the presses and switch over to that. So they did. So for the first 2 months of release, or 3 months of release, they used the butt shot, and then they switched over to this, and had absolutely nothing to do with the suggestiveness of the US market. However, to negate this whole story, the Strokes autobiography or biography in 2003 mentions that they had a fear of objections from American conservative retail industry and the right-wing lobby as reasons for the artwork alteration. Now, I don't know why they say that in the biography. Since it's a biography, you'd assume it to be sort of true, but there's nobody else to back that up, and I kind of got to believe the product manager over a biography. I feel like the product manager is probably going to have a better grip on what really happened. I don't know why they would hide that, or why they would make it a controversy. Maybe it helped. They thought it would help sell if they called it a controversy. I don't know, but there's the other side of the story. Think of it as you will. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.